and welcome to Steelers Today, which we thought was going to be ending.
Steelers ending, yes.
For the season. No, I meant the show. That was going to be it. If there's no Steelers Today, you can't have Steelers Today. As it is, the Steelers win here in Baltimore, 16-13. And Dale, they make you want to give up on them. And they almost seem to acknowledge that just now downstairs.
And as Mike Tomlin said, this is a team with warts. And
he really emphasized the word, like he wanted us to process warts.
But are they worse than, say, New Orleans? Or are they worse than, some of the teams that are in the mix in the NFC, the Eagles?
Or the AFC.
Or some of the AFC teams. I mean, you could, even whoever wins that game tonight, with the Chargers and Raiders, and I'm assuming somebody wins it. They better. We may be taping Steelers tomorrow. But, I mean, those teams have warts. That's why they have their 9 and 10 win teams. You don't, because you have warts and you're not a dominant football team. Who is a dominant football team? There are a couple out there, but they've all got losses that you look at and you go, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And, you look at that Colts team. They were 15-point favorites.
And legitimately so.
Yeah.
There's no way. I can't even process. There's no way that a team with Jonathan Taylor running against that defense, but then you have Carson Wentz. And look, you don't want to hear about that game. You want to hear about this one. And what happened in this one, plain and simple, was the same thing that's happened again and again and again this season, which is that the offense looks like total garbage for about 3 and maybe 3.5 quarters. And then all of a sudden, guys start making plays, including and starting with the quarterback.
The quarterback heats up, and he's done this over the course of his career. I mean, this is who he is. He's said it 100 times. When I've asked him about, all the fourth quarter comebacks and the come from behind victories, he said, well, it's probably because I played like crap early. Well, there we are. You are correct.
Yeah.
He did not play well early. To be honest, I mean, you can see as we sit here, the rain is still falling at M&T Bank Stadium. Conditions were not conducive to throwing the football a lot in this football game.
No, and at the same time, the conditions favored Ben because
he's a mutter.
Well, you just have to see and hear, but especially to see Mike Tomlin's description of what makes Ben good in clutch situations.
He's the same when everybody else gets funny. You know what I mean? Everybody else gets a little tight. He's the same guy.
Now, that I had never heard from him. Certainly not with that inflection.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he's accurate. That is who this quarterback is. My own belief in clutch, and I'm not going to bore everybody with this, but I once did a study on clutch, like an analysis of whether or not it exists. And the conclusion that I came to was that clutch doesn't exist. Like, you don't rise up, but the absence of clutch exists. And people will shrink from it. And that's what Tomlin was getting at, that people around him, including the other team, start going, I'm not going to do the inflection.
If I make a mistake, we could lose this football game. And he just plays like I believe in clutch. I really do. I think there are guys who, when they get in situations like this, make the big play, who make the big kick, who make the big shot. I believe it happens. I think it's kind of like pornography. I can't, describe it. I know it when I see it. That was the Supreme Court's definition of pornography.
All right. I was wondering where we were going with that.
And you can't necessarily describe it, but you know it when you see it. And I know, having seen every one of Ben Roethlisberger's games in his career and having covered them, he's clutch. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Especially when it's a game like this and they were so bad, and he wasn't good either for so long, that you all of a sudden start seeing these perfect throws that were being made and these really quality catches. And Dale, something you and I talked about in the press box as it was happening, it was a multitude of players.
Yeah.
You start seeing the ball get spread around. It wasn't just Deontay Johnson. Ray McLeod, I've been really tough on him.
He made a couple big plays
in this game. He made a couple
of
big plays. Also had a couple of, big drops, but bounced back from them. Pat Freiermuth should have found a way to get out of bounds on that one. Knew it, was kicking himself, said it started making him think of the Lions game, for crying out loud.
And that's where you get, you start becoming non-clutch.
And that's where maybe if
having that calming factor.
Maybe if there's one guy that probably rose up above his own level for the season more than anyone else, it was Chase Claypool. And you talk about someone that we've all been tough on, and rightly so, I think, fairly so.
Made some big plays in this football game.
But I asked Chase after the game, like, how did that feel, to be the guy there, or at least one of the main guys down the stretch?
Yeah, it's great, to bounce back and, kind of shut out the noise and, hush the criticism and stuff like that. So, good feeling.
That answer didn't surprise you, did it?
He hears that stuff.
No, he does. He's aware of it. He's on social media for better and worse. He gets to see the good stuff and the fun stuff and the bad stuff.
But probably not too much bad stuff about him today. And your Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the playoffs.
They are, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Welcome back to Steelers Today, and playoffs. And
Playoffs?
See, that was pretty good.
You like that?
Speaking of the Colts.
I just want to win a game.
That's not bad. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, Dale. I'm going to tell you what impresses me the most about this team. And there are, like you mentioned Tomlin's referencing the warts. Other guys did the same thing. Okay, Ben talked about not being perfect. Cam talked about not being perfect. TJ talked about it. And they're all right. I mean, this team is what it is from a talent / depth / availability standpoint.
They're in the tournament.
But they're in the tournament, and the reason they got there is because there's character oozing from that room. Contrary to what Tyler Boyd suggested irresponsibly earlier in the season, there was never any quit in this team. Not when they were 1-3, not a couple of weeks ago after they got hammered by the Chiefs. I'm sorry, that is a cap tip moment for me.
Without a doubt. And you finish 9-7-1, and you get into the playoffs. And whether they win or lose, that's an accomplishment with a team that, quite frankly, is kind of rebuilding. They have over 60 starts on offense from rookies. I mean, that's by far the most in the NFL. So, there are going to be some of those warts. There are going to be mistakes. How many times will we see 3 false starts in a face mask penalty on the offensive line today?
Wow.
And those were huge plays.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably win this game in regulation if not for that penalty on
Haig.
On Haig with the face mask penalty. They were at the 18.
And it was a good call.
It was a 50-yard penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really big swing. That was the best play of Benny Snell's life, and it ends up boomeranging back against him.
But you know what? You give guys like Benny Snell, you give Ray McLeod and Chase Claypool. They stepped up and made plays in this game when it was needed. I mean, Najee Harris. If people wonder why the first half didn't look so good, he had 3 touches in the first half.
Yeah, and that's because of the elbow injury. That obviously wasn't a coach's decision. When he comes out there and all of a sudden he starts getting you 5 yards on first down, the offense seemed to kind of
settle down
a little bit and find some equilibrium.
And the play that he made to open the game-winning drive, the one-handed catch, and then getting a first down on it, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we saw him doing in training camp this year, the one-handed, just reaching up and grabbing the ball and then getting something with it.
Even when they were just messing around in training camp.
That gets you out of a hole. They were deep in their own territory. It's such a big play. There were so many guys that made big plays down that stretch. And can they go to Kansas City and win next week? Probably not. But they got a chance. Just like Jacksonville. Nobody gave Jacksonville a chance.
That's what Cam said. Here's Cam on the subject of, looking ahead.
Man, I think we're all excited. 3 weeks ago, or was it 3 or 2 weeks when we played Kansas City last?
2 weeks.
Yeah, damn. But, to see the difference in that locker room, it was, you hear a pin drop that week after that game. And guys are excited. Guys have worked their tails off. It hasn't been perfect, but, man, we have grinded out these wins, and, we're just hungry. Just give us a shot.
And, Dejan, I'll say this. If you watch the Chiefs play Saturday night.
I did.
Tyreek Hill was banged up in that game. Travis Kelce got banged up at the end of that game.
And they didn't look very good when they were all in there.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire still banged up. They're not the Kansas City Chiefs.
We're not predicting a Steelers victory or anything like that.
But I don't know that it's going to be as bad as it was the first time.
But on a day where Jacksonville clubs the Colts,
didn't just beat them,
desperate Colts, they clubbed them. It was merciless.
That's football character. That's what we were explaining in the first segment. You think if the Steelers go into a game like that, Ben Roethlisberger lets them lose
Oh,
that?
the Colts are, they're the phoniest. I say it every year. The Colts are, anytime you ever hear anybody get excited about the Colts, no. And that goes double for when Carson Wentz is their quarterback. We said we weren't going to talk about that game, but it sounds like it's so much more compelling. Dale and I are going back to Kansas City because we haven't been there in days. We're really looking forward to it, too.